Hello and welcome to episode 18 of the Artisan Workshop tutorial series. The mod is getting really close to release, so in this episode I want to just take a bit of time to do a few polishing things and then finally test that everything works, and maybe we will come up with other things that need fixing. So I have a couple of things that didn't really fit into any episodes, or they were something that I forgot or neglected when the time was right to do these things. But I think they will improve the mod overall and they won't take too much of our time. So we should do this. And the first thing is that I want to hide the combat UI if the player has no artisan beer in their inventory at the beginning of the battle. So over here in the artisan beer mission view, when the mission mode changes, we check if the mission mode is battle or stealth, and if that condition is true, we set the UI to be visible. But I think that over here we should also check that the player has some beer in their inventory when the mode change happens. So if I just come here and write beer amount has to be larger than 0 for the UI to become visible. And for clarity, let's wrap the left side in parentheses. So just like this, the first small fix I want to do should be done. But let's go and test this. So now we should look for battle and then get rid of all the beer in our inventory and then try again. Right now I have 14 in my inventory. Let's go down to just 2. Then let's go into the fight. So right now in the left corner you can see the UI. If I use everything up, importantly the UI should not disappear at this point. But if I retreat and come back, now we should not have the UI, and that seems to be working perfectly. So I'm happy with this first improvement. So second thing I wanted to fix but didn't really have good time to do is this on workshop changed event that we added a listener for a long time ago, but we never got around to implementing this thing. So on workshop changed event will trigger whenever the workshop owner changes or the workshop type changes. So I think when the workshop changes, we should reset the artisan workshop state for that given workshop. I think that would make sense. For example, if the type of the workshop changes, we definitely should clear our artisan workshop storage. So let's just go ahead and copy this ID from our artisan workshop getter, which we can use to access the artisan workshop's storage. And with remove, we should be able to just clear the state for this workshop. And remove will return true if it found something and false otherwise. But we don't really care if this remove is successful or not, because the only thing we want is to clear the storage for this workshop ID. And we can test this out by putting a breakpoint here and then going into the game and changing the type of one of our breweries. So let's go into the clan UI and then let's change one of our workshops into something else. And you see that we get on workshop changed event. And if we go look at the artisan workshops map, we should be able to find town B2 workshop 2. It's the first one actually. And this should be removed and the artisan workshops count should go to 21. And that is what happens. So this is working fine. The next thing I want to do is to add a license to this project. So software license is a document that tells your rights and responsibilities. So it is sort of like end user license agreement, except that it is something that you package with your software. So a very popular one is the MIT license, which lets the user do whatever they want with the software. But it adds this disclaimer that the copyright holder is not liable for any damages caused by the software. And it also adds this clause that all the future copies of the software need to include the same copyright notice. So MIT license will be very good for us because it allows anyone to do whatever they want with the mod. And I can go into one of my other mods and copy the license text into this project as well. And if we look at the file, so it is just a text file with the copyright holder and your rights and responsibilities in the form of this copyright notice. So that will be our software license. So one other thing I want to do is to move a bunch of files into the underscore module folder so that everything needed to build the mod will be ready for other people over there in case they want to get the code from the GitHub. So right now I have this module data and the GUI outside of the underscore module, but I want to go ahead and move all of this stuff in here. So now if someone gets the code from GitHub, they should be able to just run this and they will automatically get all the XMLs in the right place of their game directory. But one more thing we need are all the assets. So we never copied the assets that were created by the modkit into our project. So we can go ahead right now and copy the assets and the asset sources folders into our underscore module as well. And we will add those to the Git project. Although previously we had this asset originals, but this would require the people who want to get this mod from the Git to go through some hoops, which might not be desirable. So right now, all the files needed to run the mod should be under our underscore module folder. So that is looking pretty good. And the runtime data cache is not strictly necessary, and the bin will be created when we build the project. So that we also don't need to copy over. And one more thing I wanted to change is that I want to decrease the amount we heal a bit, because I don't want this to be too powerful. I think this will be just fun flavor mod. So I want to change this from healing 20 HP to 15, although the difference is not huge, but it is still something. And this we healed text has to be some sort of leftover. And actually this we healed text should be localized. So that is a mistake that needs to be fixed. Good thing that I catch this. So when I was doing localization, I must have missed this, but we also need to add, we also need to use a variable here. So let's do new text object for this. And here where we used to use the string format, we need to use a variable instead. And when we have the text object, we can just set text variable over here. And the heal amount should be this text over here. So now we can create our information message from this text object. And of course, we also need to add this to our localization files. So we need to make a localization ID for this. And to do that, we can go into our random.org. And over here, I have some generated random strings left over from the previous episode. So I can just copy one of the bottom ones and come here and copy it over. And this thing will go into our localization files. So std module strings XML. And that is one more small thing fixed. And over here, this condition also looks kind of strange because we already have beer amount as a local variable. So we don't need to go through the object manager. So we can just replace this condition with the beer amount. Oh, but we use this item roster to decrease. Oh, whatever, then we can move this stuff a bit below. And this comment is very bad. So that looks a bit better. This comment is still pretty superfluous, so let's actually remove that one as well. And I don't like comments like this that just describe what you're doing. So let me remove all of those. I think they are just leftovers. And let me move this beer amount reduction to the same place where we remove this item from the inventory, so that will look a bit nicer, closer together. So it's a good thing we came over here and checked this method because it was looking pretty bad. So now I want to go in game and check that this new way of formatting the healing string still works. So let's find a fight. And we get we healed for 0 HP text. And let's take a hit and then see that the number will increase if we have missing HP. We healed 15 HP. That's good. That's working. That is all we needed to test. So right now, I cannot think of anything else out of place. So I think it is time to just go in game and test random things and see if we can find anything we don't like and want to change. So let me just test some things and see how it works. Okay, so I found one issue, which is that if I heal now, there is no sound effect. I must have broken something about the sound playing, but now I have to figure out what. So let me just try mission make sound. And it shouldn't make a difference, but I don't like the fact that the sound just magically disappeared. So I will try to blame this play sound 2D. And now we have sound. So maybe the play sound 2D will stay a mystery. So I remember I had some issues with it previously as well. But I thought that setting the sound to UI would fix those, but I guess we are back to using mission make sound. I don't know. I don't know what is going on here. Sorry about that. The sound system seems very finicky to me. So let's just stick to mission make sound. Another thing I realized is that if you visit your own brewery, the dialogue you get from the Artisan brewer is not very accurate. So there's no reason to pay him 200 dinars for this item that you could get for free through the management UI. So I think I will add new dialogue here, specifically if you own the workshop. So let's add a new helper here, which can give us the hero who owns the current workshop. So let's do conversation workshop owner. And this should return the workshop owner. And let's see how much of this dialogue we need to copy over. I think we will actually need a decent amount of it. Let me copy all of this. Basically, you will need a completely different dialogue tree depending on if you own the place or not. So let's call this, let's prefix all of this with Artisan brewer owner. And we are going to need to replace all of these texts as well. So let's write here like, hello boss, we are currently out of stock. That should be enough. And we need a condition, which will be conversation workshop owner equals hero main hero. And let's just do this for each of these. So prefix this with Artisan brewer owner. And this output token here will also be Artisan brewer owner. And we need to replace all of these texts. So hello boss, do you want to take some beer with you? And over here we don't need to set the price, but the condition for entering this should include that the owner is the main hero. And again, we need to update all of these IDs. This text we can keep, sure, I'll take one. But when we buy stuff, we don't need to decrease our code amount. And we don't need this button clickable condition anymore because the button will always be clickable. So this text, instead of thanking you for business, should say just Here you go. And if we decide we don't want to take one, we can say not right now. And then he will reply to us. And he will reply to us, okay boss, I'll hold on to them for now. Also, I think when we get this item, we should do information message. Also, I think when we receive an item from the Artisan brewer, we should display a little message that that tells you that you have received one item. So let's do a new text object. And here we need our text, which should be something like received one Artisan beer. And we should put this same message over here, but maybe we can do that after I have the localization stuff, which I should do right now. So we need a couple new strings. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 new strings. So let's get a bunch of IDs here. And let's repeat the process of adding. And let's repeat the process where we add more localization IDs. And now all these new strings should be in our module strings XML. And I need to copy this information message with the localized string to the other dialog tree where we receive beer by buying it. So next I should try out this new dialog tree where you are the owner of the workshop. So here we are at the brewery that I own, and I should test both dialog paths. So at least the greeting text is correct. These options look fine. Sure, I'll take one. We got the received one Artisan beer text, and it seems like both dialog options are working fine. So let's try to find a brewery I don't own. See that I didn't break that part. So here's another Artisan brewer, and he wants to sell us things. So that seems to be working fine. And all the dialogues look fine. Okay. So that is done now. So I think that's all the changes I want to do right now. Once we publish the mod and maybe get some feedback from people, there might be more things that need changing. But for now, I think I'm happy with everything. So let's just go ahead and say that this is done now and get to the publishing part in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.